The story of the Bentley Bentayga is not really a story about a car. It's a story about a company seeing a tidal wave coming and deciding, against its every instinct, to build a boat. For decades, Bentley existed in a rarefied air, a symbol of ultimate British luxury defined by hand-stitched leather, gleaming wood veneers, and an engine purr that was the soundtrack of established success. Their customer was a specific person, one who valued tradition and a certain kind of old-world grandeur. But the world was shifting beneath their feet. A new generation of wealth was emerging, younger, more global, and with a completely different set of desires. They lived in crowded cities, they valued versatility. And their idea of luxury wasn't just about a chauffeur-driven sedan for board meetings. It was about a vehicle that could handle a ski trip to Aspen, a weekend at a country estate, and a dash through city streets with equal poise and power. This was the SUV wave, and while other luxury brands watched it from ashore, Bentley made the breathtaking decision to ride it right to the bank. The business case for the Bentayga was, on the surface, an act of heresy. Purists within the company and loyalists outside it gasped at the thought of a Bentley, a name synonymous with low-slung, graceful coupes and stately limousines, producing a high-riding, all-wheel drive utility vehicle. The very idea seemed to dilute a century of brand identity. But this is where the true genius of the move lies. Bentley's leadership understood that to survive and thrive, they couldn't just sell more of the same thing to the same shrinking pool of people. They had to find a way to make the Bentley dream accessible to a whole new class of dreamer, without compromising the core of what made a Bentley a Bentley. The Bentayga wasn't a betrayal of the brand, it was its most clever and necessary evolution. It was about taking the sacred elements, the smell of the leather, the glow of the wood, the immense power of the engine, and placing them into a package that fit the modern millionaire's lifestyle. It was a Trojan horse, but instead of soldiers, it was filled with the unmistakable aura of a Bentley, and it was about to be welcomed into garages that had never before considered owning one. The development of the Bentayga was a masterclass in smart business logistics, a way to achieve the impossible without starting from scratch. Creating a whole new vehicle, especially one as complex as a luxury SUV, costs a staggering amount of money. Bentley's parent company, the Volkswagen Group, provided the ultimate cheat code. They owned a treasure trove of existing platforms and technologies. The Bentayga was able to share its fundamental underpinnings with other vehicles like the Audi Q7 and the Porsche Cayenne. This was the secret sauce. It meant Bentley's engineers and designers didn't have to waste billions reinventing the wheel, literally. Instead, they could focus all their time, budget, and legendary craftsmanship on the parts that the customer would actually see, touch, and feel. They poured their soul into the experience. The cabin became a mobile penthouse, with seats that were massaging thrones, a sound system that was a concert hall on wheels, and options like a custom-built refrigerated champagne cooler for the rear compartment. They took a shared skeleton and clothed it in a bespoke British suit, ensuring that from the moment you sat inside, you were in a Bentley first and an SUV a very distant second. When the Bentayga finally launched, it didn't just enter the market, it created a new one entirely, the ultra-luxury SUV. There was simply nothing else like it. The Range Rover was rugged and luxurious, but it wasn't a Bentley. The Rolls-Royce Cullinan would come later, playing catch-up. For a crucial period, the Bentayga had the entire playground to itself. It became an instant status symbol for a new elite, the tech entrepreneur who could now code from the backseat in sublime comfort, the celebrity who needed a spacious and imposing vehicle that could also be driven dynamically, the family with more money than time who refused to compromise on luxury for their daily school run. It was practical without being ordinary, opulent without being stuffy. It was the everyday Bentley, and that was its revolutionary power. People who would never have a reason to visit a Bentley dealership were now flocking to them. The Bentayga became the gateway drug for the brand, introducing a whole new demographic to the Bentley world. It was the car you bought because you needed an SUV, and it just happened to be the most luxurious, most powerful one on the planet. In doing so, it fundamentally changed the financial destiny of the company. The result was nothing short of a financial revolution for Bentley. The Bentayga very quickly became the brand's undisputed cash cow, its best-selling model by a massive margin. For years, it accounted for nearly half of the company's entire global sales. This single model did more than just bring in profit, it secured the future of the entire company. The rivers of money flowing in from the Bentayga's success subsidized everything else. It funded the development of the next generation of their traditional coupes and convertibles. Like the Continental GT and the Flying Spur, it allowed Bentley to invest in new, terrifyingly expensive technologies, most notably the journey towards electrification. The Bentayga's profits became the seed capital for Bentley's ambitious plan to become an all-electric marque by 2030. In a very real sense, this one SUV, this so-called Heresy, became the financial guardian of Bentley's sacred traditions. It ensured that the craftspeople and crew could continue their work, that the legacy of performance and luxury could continue, all because a tall, practical vehicle was paying all the bills. In the end, the Bentley Bentayga is a perfect lesson in how a legendary brand can choose evolution over extinction. It was a decision that required immense courage to look beyond the vocal purists and see the silent majority of potential new customers. By understanding the deep, almost unspoken needs of a changing market, Bentley didn't just sell a car, they sold a new version of the Bentley life. They proved that luxury isn't about being stuck in the past, it's about taking the very best of the past and seamlessly integrating it into the present. The Bentayga ensured that the sound of a Bentley engine wouldn't become a fading echo but a common and thrilling sound in the school drop-off lane, the ski resort parking lot, and the valet stands of the world. It was the vehicle that ensured the Bentley name would not just survive the 21st century, but would dominate it, all by having the brilliant, simple idea of giving people exactly what they didn't yet know they wanted.